We do a very, very simple what we call a midline throw. And this is mostly for an infielder. When I'm talking about midline throws, is because basically the girls are gonna pull the ball out of their glove straight back. They use the elbow as their scope, right? No glove. A lot of girls point their glove. We teach elbow as your scope. And when she throws, you'll see what happens. Okay, good. And so her glove stays close to her body, right? Some girls pull down to the hip. Some girls stay here. The idea behind the glove staying here is so that they can actually torque as they throw. Yeah. Right? So the other part of it that's critical is the step, right? So our midline step is when we actually catch the ball here, our first step is to point our instep towards our target. And as we scope, we're going to go for the front foot, the hand goes back, ball points away, elbow is your scope, go ahead, and then you throw, right? Any questions on that? All right, for an outfielder, go.
Sorry, what, did you say why you use the elbow as a sweep?
So a lot of girls, when they do this with the glove, what they'll end up doing as they target, as they go to throw, is they'll go like this and they'll sweep their glove way over here.
Yeah.
We want to try and keep the glove in here so that as they torque it, it's not way outside their body, causing them to over-rotate.
Keeps it close, okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
It's kind of like tuck the glove. Like it already
Right.
is like that for you. So it
As
makes it
opposed to
easier.
doing this when you're coming in.
Right.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
All right, there are other kinds of throws that we teach when we get to the outfield part of it. Mike and I will talk about an outfield throw, how that's different from an infield throw. Lexus is an outfielder for us. So Lexus could talk about what's different between a midline throw and a thumb to thigh throw.
So midline is usually quicker, like in the infield, like Coach Jim said, then you really only have like 3 seconds to get the ball and get it to first. So midline is quicker, it's more for short distances, a quick release. In the outfield, we do the lower throw, which is basically, when you field the ball in the outfield, you've either caught it and they're out, or it's like a roller and you have to get it in. But since the outfield throws to the infield are a lot longer distance than short, quick infield throws, we come down here just to get more power so that we can get the ball further.
And I recommend that when you're teaching the kids, don't pigeonhole them into an infielder or an outfielder, teach them both throws, right? Make sure that they learn how to do a thumb to thigh and a pull out, or a bow and arrow. There's lots of different terms for it. We call this the midline throw. All right?
And like that's definitely important because coming into the high school, I was actually a catcher and a first baseman. And in 1 year, Coach Jim and Coach Jamie turned me into an outfielder. So like having a lot of basic skills is really going to help you, especially like if your kids want to get to like the high school level and play for us.
Yeah, and so Jess and I have had lots of conversations because Jess helps me with the pitching clinic, and Jess and I have had a lot of nice little long conversations, but just talk about last year versus this year as far as your arm goes and as far as throwing goes.
Like overhand throwing.
Yes,
Okay.
overhand
I cannot overhand throw for the life of me. Only last year I actually tore the inside ligament in my elbow from throwing overhand incorrectly, and I did a lot of hours at PFP learning how to overhand throw as a 16-year-old, so it was kind of embarrassing, but it was a lot of pain and it's not worth it, so it's really important to learn how to throw right.
Yeah, and so the message I think that I want you all to hear about Jess is that, you know, I've coached Jess, right? I coached Jess at a young level. I coached Jess at an older level. Even I, didn't recognize her throwing mechanics being on a whack, right? And I've been doing this for 30 plus years, right? So it's important that you try and start at the really, really young level with these mechanics. Even though they may not be able to do it at a young level, it's okay that they can't actually, walk 50 feet. That's okay. Let them just take the first 2 steps and fall down and not do it right? But so long as they learn the actual techniques, it's so important so that they don't have arm trouble later on in life, right? And as Lexus talked about it, I'm going to tell you, Kimmy, when we had Kimmy in the high school, she started off as a third baseman. Like Kimmy was a third baseman. She quickly turned into a shortstop. And just talk a little bit, Kimmy, about the difference between a third base throw and a shortstop throw.
A third base throw is longer than a shortstop throw by a little bit. But third base throw, you have to like throw faster than a shortstop because it's a farther distance, and like throwing it more. It's like you should have the right technique to make it there and also make it fast because you have like 3 seconds to make it more range.
Yeah. a lot more ground to cover, a lot more different throws as a shortstop, right? Sometimes she's gonna do a bow and arrow, sometimes she's gonna have to sink into her back leg and make a throw. So for Kimmy, it was so important for us to change her mechanics from a third baseman to a general purpose infielder so that she could make multiple throws. At third base, you're really only making 2 throws. You know, you're really making a throw on the run coming in, or you're making a throw because the ball just get hit at you. Now you're just gonna make an across the diamond throw 90 feet. As a shortstop, you're making throws all over the field, right? So one time she's doing a sway, one time she's doing a backhand, and she's gonna sink into her back leg. So for Kimmy, it was so important for her to understand the mechanics behind that. All right, ladies, thank you for the throwing and catching. I don't think